So far, we know that in both Elite Dangerous Odyssey and Star Citizen, you must travel to other planets via a ship. However, Elite Dangerous Odyssey does offer a shuttle service, but even the shuttle service forces you to go for the ride in real time. There are no cutscenes. By comparison, Starfield's flight system is much more simplistic than Star Citizen or Elite Dangerous Odyssey, and according to the devs, this is intentional. Bethesda was concerned about making the flight experience too tedious and time-consuming to get from one planet to another. They even dropped the idea of having to worry about fueling. The only time you really fly your ship a lot in Starfield is when it's scripted into the story or when you're attacked by pirates, but even in the latter situation, you can simply use your jump drive to get away. My guess is that Bethesda wanted Starfield to feel like Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous to a certain degree, but they didn't want the game to become a niche game that only appealed to a small but loyal audience. They obviously wanted the game to be a mainstream hit. One could argue that when it comes to the game's flight mechanics, they could have simply used a style of seamless flight that's similar to No Man's Sky. However, I have a theory that had they gone with seamless flying, they probably would have leaned more towards a simulated design style rather than the simplistic seamless flight you experience in No Man's Sky. But between Bethesda, their in-house modders, and independent modders, I don't expect Starfield to go too long without some form of seamless flight. People have just made such a big deal of it, it's hard to imagine the feature will never come to the game. Like Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous, a ship is required to travel from one planet to another, but the question is, what is Starfield like once your destination is reached and you exit the cockpit? As I stated earlier, none of these games check all of the boxes, but when it comes to the player's experience outside of the cockpit, Starfield outshines both Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous, at least for now. Unlike the other games mentioned, in Starfield, life outside of the cockpit can get very interesting right away because Bethesda did such a great job with their ship interiors. As soon as you exit the pilot seat, not only do you have access to your ship's interior and some of its functions, you also have access to your crew. You'll find your crew doing random things like relaxing, sleeping, or working. The larger your ship, the more crew you can have on board. Some of your crew members may even have backstories that may lead to side quests. So in Starfield, things can get rather interesting from the moment you leave the cockpit. But what happens when you disembark your ship? Starfield offers feature-rich narratives and epic space operas that are similar to games like Mass Effect. In the game, you'll interact with various civilizations with different laws and customs. While visiting these locations, you can hear the sounds of the crowd, people in small groups chattering, and music playing in the distance. You can engage with many unexpected characters, many of which will ask you for favors, expanding your experience even more. You can visit ghettos or locations where people simply struggle to survive, or you can interact with the elites of society. Starfield is a game where it is definitely worth attempting to have a conversation with every NPC you run across. It may even pay off to be just a little bit nosy.
Look, man, have a heart. I can't pay right now, but I'll spot you next time, okay?
Do I look like an idiot? Tell me, do I have a sign that says idiot taped to my back?
No?
I know what you've been wasting your money on. Damn junkies. You pay the posted price, or you don't get anything at all. I'm running a business here. I don't give handouts.
You kidding? No one cares if you're addicted to the stuff. Hell, that's what they want.
Well, if it worked for you, I hope it works for me. I'm sick of feeling this way when I can't get a fix. I'll just rest until the doc's ready to talk to me.
Unlike the other mentioned space games, central to the Starfield experience is the presence of non-player characters with their own lives, stories, and quests. Many of the cities and towns in Starfield teem with life, offering players the chance to interact with a diverse array of characters. The dynamic storytelling that Bethesda is known for unfolds in the urban hubs, where players can immerse themselves in the rich narratives and even forge alliances. As the player, you can approach various NPCs for conversations to see if it will lead to other side quests. With the exception of main story NPCs, what you say could or make or break your relationship with an individual NPC or faction. Cities and towns in Starfield also serve as hubs for trade and commerce. The bustling markets, futuristic industries, and bustling spaceports within these urban centers play a crucial role in the player's journey. The economy and trade systems may offer players opportunities to amass resources and the wealth to upgrade their spacecraft, weapons, and attire. Unlike Elite Dangerous Odyssey, you don't need to worry about being scanned by so many guards because your entire ship will be scanned before you're even allowed to land anywhere on the planet. Starfield obviously took inspiration from Star Citizen and EDO. For example, if you take a look at this facility in EDO, it looks exactly like some of the locations in Starfield. Where Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen's game design strategy was to build their games from the inside out, focusing first on the cockpit experience, then later developing gameplay outside of the cockpit, Bethesda Game Studio seems to have adopted the opposite strategy. For example, while Star Citizen is just mentioning the idea of base building, you have players in Starfield who spent most of their gameplay sessions building and improving their bases, and that I know of, the Elite Dangerous development team has never even mentioned the idea of base building. Even after a couple of hundred hours of gameplay, Starfield is still chock full of random encounters. According to Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear, he's hundreds of hours in, and this is what he had to say.
Welcome back to the channel. It's Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear, and I've well eclipsed the 200 hours played mark into Starfield. I'm still running into random side content like the Dead Stop quest on Helios, which I honestly was not expecting. It's just kind of random to stumble into it. But there are several items that I have noticed since update 1.8.86 went live that I don't see mentioned anywhere in these patch notes, and these may be stealth additions or even Bethesda trying out some new potential mechanics on the player base without first letting us know. The first of these additions, or what I'm calling additions, has to do with activities showing up on our star maps as we warp into a system. Now, I've seen them all. There isn't a system that I have not explored, and so what I'm now seeing after this update is that there are way more of these sensor contacts, ship icons, and other custom events showing up while in space. Sometimes these are just supply crates floating in space. I've been jumped by spacers or Varun. I ran into this derelict PCH custom ship with radiation poisoning throughout the ship that had killed the crew. I even ran into the legendary spacer ship, the Blatodia, which for me, even 200 plus hours in, is something I've never yet seen in Starfield.
One of the primary draws of space video games is the sense of awe and wonder that accompanies space exploration. Games like Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen strive for realism, simulating the enormity of the Milky Way galaxy and allowing players to chart their own course throughout the cosmos. The meticulous attention to detail in these games creates an immersive experience, instilling a profound appreciation for the sheer scale and beauty of space. They both also come with a very steep learning curve. They both offer seamless landing, and they both offer a great sim experience. But if I had to choose which is better, for now I would have to give the nod to EDO, simply because though it still has a ton of issues, it is at least a complete game. Star Citizen doesn't even have a cohesive story yet, and so much of what you're doing in the game currently involves creating your own fun. Bethesda already has modders officially on board to create extra content for the game, and I can guarantee you that some of them are already thinking about adding seamless flight for both the PC and the console versions of the game. Aside from those who have genuine concerns about Starfield, unfortunately for Bethesda, the game got caught up in a dysfunctional console war, causing some PlayStation fans to compare Starfield to games like Cyberpunk, which after a few years have been able to make the game that everyone wanted in the first place. The odd thing is neither PlayStation nor Xbox currently have a game like Cyberpunk, so why Cyberpunk is used like a blunt object to beat up Starfield is a mystery. This video covered life outside of the cockpit, but I'm currently working on a video about a game with the best cockpit in the space game genre, and that honor goes to Elite Dangerous. So watch out for that one. I don't know exactly when it's going to come out, but I'm working on it, and the main thing is that I really want to do a good job covering it, and you're going to be amazed at everything that it offers in the Elite Dangerous Odyssey cockpit. But look, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, and hey, if you got a problem with the video, give it a dislike as well. And hey, if you want to give me what for in the comment section, go ahead and do it. Just please stay respectful and try to refrain from throwing insults at anyone. Everyone's been doing a great job of that. So until next time, guys, stay safe.